My name is Joseph Yeager. I'm a nursing assistant student at Newport Hospital in Washington State. My mother has recently asked me to do a video on prepping. Many of you have heard of what prepping is. Prepping is the idea that some natural catastrophe may happen, and prepping is the state of which you are in to get ready for it. The basis of this video is why prepping is not wrong, and here's the problem. When you ask why something is not wrong, you're assuming that it was wrong in the first place, and that's just not true. You see, prepping goes back a very, very long time. When the Pilgrims first came to America, when they needed to stock their food because they haven't eaten all of it, when they killed the deer, for instance, they would put it in a barrel and fill it with salt to preserve it. They were prepping for when the time came that they no longer had food to eat. Prepping also happens in places like retail stores. I've worked in a major retailer, and we definitely prepped for Black Friday. It's a different scale and a different meaning, and retail stores and grocery stores don't quite have it right. They have about 2 days on average of back stock for all of their materials, but nonetheless it was prepping. You see, prepping is not necessarily a foreign idea. The ideas that are coming out are the reasons why people are prepping. These are new. Things like economic meltdown, which I believe personally is a very possible situation and circumstance. There are things like Armageddon and nuclear explosions and solar eruptions and all sorts of these crazy off-the-wall things that people are prepping for, and it's gone extreme. There are people buying old nuclear missile silos and people who are stocking $1 million underground private places to live called bug-out bunkers, and it's gone crazy. But I'm here to tell you the bottom line is it's not necessarily wrong. There have been 1 or 2 major depressions in the history of the United States. One was the Dust Bowl. Depression beyond all depression. You rationed everything. You could barely see a foot in front of you sometimes. People did not have food. They did not have power. They did not have water. There was another depression, one that you guys might also know, and that is the one that we are in now. Gas has soared to $4.25 a gallon. When President Obama was inaugurated in January of 2009, the average gallon of gas across the board all over the country was $1.89. That's obviously changed. You see, when I say that, you don't even really believe me because it's so low. Now it's at $4.25 in some spots, and it's going fast towards the $5 and $6 mark, and by this summer it's projected to be there. Prepping is simply the act of stocking while you still can. An economic meltdown. There are books out there that say when the economic meltdown does happen, inflation will soar to an astronomical rate. Selling a gallon of gas for $60 is not going to be unheard of. My mom is a prepper. Is she crazy? Maybe. She's my mom, so I'm allowed to say that. But prepping-wise, when you really think about the idea of backstocking things like medical supplies, when you backstock things like water, food, canned foods, when inflation goes up, what are you going to do? When this country goes into a state of emergency and things like gas shoot to $10 or $15 a gallon and they won't go down again for 6 months until the government, or lack thereof, becomes under control, what are you going to do? Think twice before calling a prepper crazy, because when that time does come that you need them, you're going to think they weren't so crazy after all.